Okay, so here's the issue I'm dealing with on this panel here. I'm tight at the bottom, and I probably got a maybe a 1/16 at the top here. So I'm going to taper this panel that little bit. You know, it's a 1/16 over 18.5 inches. Push that in here. Get some marks. I'm not a big fan of screws, but in this case right here, I think that's what I'm going to have to do. I'm going to have to drive some screws in from the bottom to pull that tight, and then you know, let the glue do the rest of the work. Well, I'm not a big fan of planing plywood, but in this case I have to because it's such a small amount to take off. And basically when I get down to this end, it's going to be about maybe 1 pass, and down here probably 4. So I'm going to break it up into about quarters here. 1, 2, yeah, so my first pass I'll try and start here, maybe even shallower for that one. Then take this much, this much, this much, and then that. We'll see how it turns out. On here I want to clip this so I don't fracture this veneer. Alright, it didn't take much. This is all the material I had to remove from that edge to get it flush on the top as well as the bottom here. And the way I was checking that was with just a piece perpendicular to it and just going by feel, and that's nice and flush, and the top one is too now. So we're good there. My next thing I want to do is glue this interior panels, 3 panels together here and there. And I've got to be careful because I don't want glue getting on this part, so I'm going to put some paper in between these 2 joints, and then I'm going to tape these off so that any glue squeeze out, you know, it doesn't run down here. Well, there'll be paper here, but I don't want it running down and pooling here and possibly getting on this. So it squares up nicely. But I want to glue it in frame, I guess, to make sure that when I put it back together, it goes the way it's supposed to. Now the other thing I'm going to do is I've got to get this up on blocks or extrusions so I can get my clamps underneath here and get some cawls along those 2 edges or 2 joint lines, so that I can get those pulled together nice and tight. I'll show you what that looks like here in a minute. Alright, I almost did this the wrong way. I marked the bottom line when I should have marked the top line, and here's why. So here's the top line, brought my test shelf to the line, made my marks, ran my domino flush here and then flush this way. Then when I roll it up and hit those marks, I can just see the top line. So X's are the bottom here, roll it up, and we should be fine. So we'll run this one on, and then I've made sure that I'm square, flush, and just covering the line. I'm going to go tight setting in the divider and loose setting into the shelf. Okay, now let's see how we did. Boy, that thing is tight. Beautiful. Okay, that was done correctly. And flush it up. That will work nice. Then the true test will be whether everything lines up when I put it back on the uprights, but it should be just fine. I mean, I am right on that line. That's great. Okay, I'm going to do the other one the same way. We'll come back and see how things line up. Alright, here's my dry clamp. Dry fit, I guess, and dry clamp. Paper underneath. I've got to be careful when I put pull these two together. This piece of paper here kind of got caught in between the shelf and the divider. So I've got to be cognizant of that. Other than that, I'm not going to put this top frame on. I can get a better bite with this top clamp, and it pulls it nicely without having any kind of caul in here. So I've got to put two down here to compensate for this lip, and then I'm pulling it down to the frame here, and that's it. And then I'm making sure that I'm flush right here. So I'll pull it apart, put some glue on it, and throw it back on here. Okay, you can see the glue squeeze out there, and that's the reason I use the tape. I've got about the same amount on, all four tape joint. Yeah, there's four tape joints, yeah. And it looks like it's lined up pretty nicely. I really won't know until I get the clamps off tomorrow and put that other frame on and just see how things are looking. So we'll see what's going on then.